Hi there, it's Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder here with this week's episode of the Market Monday. So this week I'm going to expand on the topic that I brought up over at my Rogue Market channel. I do a monthly top 5 products that I think are good buys for Magic the Gathering over at that channel. I highly suggest you go watch that video, maybe pause this video, watch the video, come back to this video, and I'll expand upon the topic that I was talking about there. I also, if you're interested, do a top 5 products that aren't Magic the Gathering over at my third channel, Gone Rogue Games, where we talk more about shops. So if you're interested in kind of seeing behind the scenes at my local game store or just watch me review some products, it's kind of a cheesy little channel, but it's kind of fun to do. You can go check that out. Anyway, shilling over. This is a topic that is going to be discussing, actually it's even kind of like a part 2 of last time I did a Market Monday, which is, has the market recovered? What's the situation for the MTG market? And I make the arguments that we are not experiencing recovery. There are some good signs with double masters having good sales, with record profits, but I'm still under the assumption that if Magic continues to go with this power creep and the overprinting, that it is going to be very costly for the game going forward, because it's going to completely destroy the faith in people purchasing products because the value is just not there for the vast majority of products. And I think this is going to damage the reputation of Magic as well as start to slow down sales. And so there have been a lot of videos out there by other finance channels that are like, oh, there's some really good things. Summers are usually pretty low. This is actually a good sign with going under a recession, blah, 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 which I do concede. There are some, like I said, some silver linings to this. But man, oh man, are we experiencing a weird time in Magic the Gathering. A lot of it explained in my first channel with all of the sales right now. So I went over some products that were great buys right now, like Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Collector Boosters with still holding at the distributor price. We have the Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. Commander Legend are being just blown out by distributors for like $140. We have the Streets of New Capenna collector's boosters as well that are still going for like 130s. And we have Modern Horizons, which is still in stock, which we would think by this point you'd start seeing this product be out of stock and start to creep up. So those are some bad signs, but I also go over some products that are very surprising and are still available from distributors. And actually, their TCG prices are very close even now, months, years for some of these products later. And that is just a horrible sign, because these weren't your typical run-of-the-mill products that were supposed to be cheap. They were supposed to be kind of the ones that sold out. In fact, many of them had low allocation on their releases, and they're still available. But before we get into that topic too, there is a lot of products that were going up that have also started to stagnate. So if you look at things like Theros Beyond Death, with the booster boxes, those have come down from like a $115 to now $100. Things like War of the Spark went down from its high of $170, and it's now back down to $140. And there's no more supply of this. This is just people that were holding on these products being like, you know what, this isn't that great of a product anymore. We're going to actually let it go and try to get something like Double Masters. And I think that is kind of the elephant in the room, is the Double Masters. When you create a product like Double Masters, which is just so much better than anything out there, you cannibalize the rest of those purchases that would have been to eating up the old supply of current in standard sets. So standard sets have just rotated. Think a couple years ago, what type of products were going up? They were like the Amonkhet's, the Hour Devastations. It was the leftover products where people were like, I'll pick up I never experienced these type of products. I'll buy a box here and there. And that started eating at the supply. We are not seeing that behavior in Magic the Gathering purchases now. In fact, we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing the Amonkhet's and the Hour Devastations and the War of the Sparks and the Dominarias, all these products that did go up significantly in the past couple of years. They're actually at some of their 6-month, 12-month lows. Because people are now deciding to sell these off and just be waiting for the next big thing like a Double Masters or a Modern Horizons. And this is a huge warning sign with Magic going forward, because A, they're going to have to now outdo Double Masters 2022 with some other new product, with some other new power creep, and B, they're still going to have to be competing with all this dead product that is out there to try to make that product even appealing. And it's just, that puts a lot of pressure on their strategic partners like distributors and stores just have a lot of product that is not moving. In this day and age with retail, you have to have, if you want to be able to house, store, display new product, that means old product needs to be off the shelves for those products to come in. And you can't expect your strategic partners to continue to be either losing money or breaking even for these type of things. So yes, Double Masters and a few other products that have been released in the not so recent past have been slam dunks for stores. They've been able to fill their coffers substantially, I would say, with these products. But how good is that for a store if you now have to sell Commander Legends? Say you went all in on Commander Legends because Commander Legends was a set that was selling pretty well in the last one, and those collector's boosters went from the 200s to the 300s quite quickly to now you went, oh, okay, the Battle for Baldur's Gate, which you had to pre-order before you even saw, spoilers for it, then it crashes down to nothing, and then you're losing money. I've already heard from many patrons that their stores are starting to blow out set boosters and draft boosters from Commander Legends for under even what they probably bought them for like $165 for collector's boosters, for example, here, or $80 for a set booster or a draft booster when they paid $90 out the gates. These were a little more expensive at the very, very beginning when we had to pre-order these products. So that is kind of my whole argument, and I'm just going to kind of take a look at some of the cards or some of the product that surprises me that is still available from distributors. The first one is Commander Collection Black. I was pretty much allocated to like 40 of these, I believe. It was pretty low when Commander Collection Black came out, and it is comparable to this one, which is Commander Collection Green. So Commander Collection Green went through the roof. I know that the product was better, so let's just not try to... Well, this is actually surprising. Look at this one, too. This is across the board with the last 6 months for these type of products. So you see that they hit their height for people wanting these, and now that everything seems to be coming back down to earth. This is still going down, down, down. You can see here that the last one actually sold was for $90 unopened for their sales data. But Commander Green was one of these products that just continued to go up after its release. So it was released and went up, 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 and then if you actually compare it to Commander Black is not doing that. In fact, it has just gone down, 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 down since its release. So people had that high anticipation for it, and it's just continued to go down, 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 to the point that these are still available. I am limited, but there is still one distributor that allows me to continue to buy these for a pretty cheap price for the Commander Collection Black, which should be a product that I think it contains a lot of good value. There is value in this Commander Collection Black, but yet again, it is just being outclassed and outshined by this new power creeping products with Dominaria now, them saying, oh, it's going to have a Legends card randomly inserted into these packs, and it's created all this like rush for that. It's just caused these type of products just completely be put on the back burner. Another one that very surprised me is Commander 2019. This has the Dockside Extortionist. Unfortunately, they just got a reprint, so now this product looks a lot worse. But same thing, these are not really going for much more than they originally were. You can see they haven't really budged from their low of 135 a few months ago. But same thing, they've just continued to stay kind of stagnant here. I mean, they're a little bit more pricey, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets back to this price of 120 before the dust settles for this product, especially with the Dockside Extortionist being reprinted and it just not being that lucrative a product to have, that incredibly chased card that was continued going up. Again, these were not bad Commander decks. There are a lot of staples in this Commander 2019, which you'd assume should start going up in value. There are things like Challenger decks, theme boosters, and even old set boosters, or not even that old set boosters, are going under distributor cost with distributors blowing them out. I continue to see sales after sales. Another one was Signature Spellbook Chandra. This is another product that is still available years later. When was this one even released? Here to say a date on here, but it's at least over a year old. And I guess this doesn't work here with that. But this also wasn't that bad of a product. People were comparing it to... I remember it had just insane reviews when it came out that people were like, finally a spellbook that actually contains the value in it, because it had the Chandra's Torch of Defiance. It didn't have like a terrible Planeswalker like the other ones had, or just ones that just didn't see any demand at the moment with Baby Jason, where they have regular Gideon in there. They didn't even have the Chase Gideon at the time in there. And it just did seem to have a lot of value. And now this product, too, is just a product that just seems to be just not move the way that they expected it to move. And this is another warning sign for Magic that we're under a very, very stagnant market. And I'm not sure how they get out of this without even, I mean, if they want their sales data, this is how they do it. They just, create these Dominarias with, we got to put Legends cards in the Dominaria. They can't keep doing this. They can't everything. They've killed their fetch land equity, so now it's going to be hard for them to do like another Modern Horizons type set where they can just throw fetch lands in and have it sell. They're doing the shock lands with the Infinity coming out, so shock lands are probably going to take a big slump, which is the other kind of staple in Magic. The I like to call, if everyone's kind of familiar with the old Diablo, what they call it, the Ring of Jordans. When everyone wanted, they were such a big currency. That's the currency of Magic as far as like the cards that are so tradable, that are so liquid, are fetch lands and shock lands, and they've gone completely down to basically. I mean, look at Shocklands from Modern Horizons. They're all the way down to $15 for like a Marsh Flats and an Arid Mesa, and continuing their slump down. Like, they have not stabilized off because this has been Secret Lair. You had the Ultimate Edition Secret Lairs that had them. You had the they were put in the Battle for Zendikar Rising in the collector's packs, and you could get them as box toppers. And now they have them with, I can. Why am I looking here? I got them right here on so yeah, you got the Secret Lairs, Ultimate Edition. You have the Zendikar Rising Expeditions that are pretty easy to get out of those type of packs. And now you have the Modern Horizons, so you have that triple reprint right in a row. And I mean, in the whole scope of things, like even Modern Masters 2017 isn't that long ago with a reprint for fetch lands. I know that these cards did get up to a pretty hefty price tag, but if we remember with Modern Horizons 2017, they didn't really go down much afterwards. That was a nice little stable product where the market could actually take all the Modern Masters, absorb it, and still have room to sell other products, and so in fact still have an appetite for more and more products. And I think that's the whole point of this video, is that appetite has just come down to nothing. There is an appetite for particular new products, but all in all, the vast majority of products have been duds. And again, these were not bad products. New Capenna was not a bad set. Shoot, New Capenna had a lot of good stuff, like Ledger Shredders that have solidified themselves with both a modern and a legacy staple. You have commander cards like the Bootlegger Stash. You have the Land Cycle that is very, very popular in Commander, that actually sees a little bit of Pioneer and Modern play from time to time because they're fetchable. You have the Unlicensed Hearse that also is starting to see play in many different formats. You can go back to like Kamigawa, or go back to Crimson Vow, and go back to Innistrad Midnight Hunt. They have very, very good cards that are playable across formats, and very, very good in the Commander formats. And everywhere keeps talking about how they're some of the worst sets ever. And I just like scratch my head when I compare it to the Amonkhet's and the Hour Devastations. Like, really? These are the worst sets ever? They have a lot higher power level. They have a lot more interesting cards than some of the once it rotates out of standard duds that we saw from Ixalan, from Amonkhet's, from those type of era of sets where it was like standard or bust. So yeah, I don't know where people are going with these sets being, not having any long-term demand or whatnot with like the Commander formats and the Legacy formats and the Modern formats with kind of the power level that's been in them. What really is telling with these type of sets is they just don't look that appealing when there's a million other things to buy. Jumpstart, there's another product that is kind of just hasn't gone up. It had that initial bump up, and then there was the lull of the market, and it's come right back down to right at distributor cost or below distributor cost. I really like just looking at these like War of the Sparks that bumped up. The Throne of Eldraine was up to like 185 a booster box, back down to 145. These collector's boosters were way high. I mean, at these, they was starting to look like a set that was going to start accruing value quite quickly, like the Dominaria did, or like the War of the Spark did, or even Kaladesh when it was a year or two old. We've had a lot of people talk about how this era actually has underprinting compared to older eras, and that's where I'd completely disagree with that sort of analysis, that we are just under just this immense, just loaded amount of products that are still out there. And I don't want to guess how much Wizards has in their own warehouses. I know they have their own warehouses, then go to the distribution level, which then goes to stores, and all of that chain is just saturated with products. Saturated with, even because I think that we also got, as a store owner myself, we got our own little FOMO, or I guess not really a FOMO, but fear of like selling out is, I guess, the word, because during the pandemic, when it was hard to find product to meet the demand, we saw like, man, I really should have stocked up on Amonkhet bundles, or I should have stocked up on these ones because they just went for insane profits. And so instead of like looking at the current sets to make these good profit margins, store owners, I think, got accustomed to like, okay, I can just like bank on Dominaria going up, and so this time I'll stock up on Innistrad Crimson Vow. That way in a couple of months, or I guess going back to the rotate, I'll stock up on some Ikoria, because by the time I'm going to need money, then people are going to be buying Ikoria from me for 150, and it just hasn't panned out. We just have seen this train wreck of market saturation just really starting to affect the market. And again, this is the perfect warning sign with War of the Spark, Dominaria, Kaladesh, all these ones just really coming down in the sealed market. Singles market is not faring much better. I think a commander set out of each set is really hampered their equity for anything from $2 to $5 cards. All those we've noticed that the typical staples in Commander that used to be reprinted once every year, they could hold at the $2 to $5 range. They'd get reprinted, a $5 card would get reprinted, go down to $2, it'd bounce back up to $5 by the time it got reprinted again. We're starting to see those things completely evaporate down to like 50 cents because they have 4 reprints in a row. I think one of the cards that I was looking at was like Cinderglade. Cinderglade was one of those cards that I was talking to a patron about this one. And Cinderglade I liked for reference because Cinderglade and the Shockland Stomping Grounds actually have about similar amount of play in EDH. If you're running if you're running the Shock, you're running the Cinderglade because they're both fetchable. They're both very similar on their effects. I mean, you can't run 4 Shocklands in your commander deck, so you're going to go to the next best one, which is Cinderglade. And this is quite telling with this one too, of how many times it's been reprinted in the past year. We're at Commander 2019, Commander 2020, Commander Baldur's Gate. It was in the Streets New Capenna Commander, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Commander. Look at how many times this sucker has been printed. And again, this is the reasoning with just so much product. These things didn't used to exist. It used to be 1 commander deck per year, not Kamigawa, Streets of New Capenna, Baldur's Gate, all having red-green decks that then print a card like this Cinderglade. And it seems to be that Wizards has this sort of philosophy that they're not going to be printing a lot of cards that are over $5. So they keep printing these same targets over and over and over, which has made it so these cards are just inherently worthless at this point. There's just too much supply out there. The demand is never going to be able to outstretch these at any given time before they probably just include as another budget thing to throw into a commander deck in the future. And so it causes this sort of self-fulfilling prophecy of Cinderglade never being worth anything. And I wish Wizards of the Coast could get a handle on that. And I hope they do. I think that's the issue. They're probably going to have to start cutting back on the amount of commander decks. Commander decks are kind of surprising, though, because there's 2 of them that have stabilized. You can get Crimson Vow for, like, next to nothing. Like, distributors are blowing out Crimson Vow Commander. I'm not sure why. I don't know about what's going on with Forgotten Realms. Forgotten Realms and Strixhaven are starting to move up, as well as Baldur's Gate, for some reason, has pretty good sales data comparatively to the other ones. Maybe it's just the particular cards that are included in them. I know there are unique cards you can only get in the commander decks that way. That has something as commander decks now, because all those are now included in set and collectors. You can get those out of those packs rather than strictly from the commander decks, which is just more saturation for those type of things that then cut into the ability for these sealed products to be sold. And it just spells disaster going forward. So I actually don't know the strategy that Wizards should go, but if I were them, they really need to cut back on the specialty sets and give some breathing room. The problem is you get addicted to profits. No one wants to show that you're making less than the quarter before, but it just, to me, there's a few things that have to happen in Magic the Gathering. One is to address this power creep. You can't keep doing power creep for the sake of sales. It will kill your format's ability to survive in the long run. It actually does kill the ability for other cards to actually want to be reprinted. Reprint equity is huge. When Tarmogoyf is something you can reprint because it goes up to $200 card, that's as lucrative as trying to create a new card. So Wizards has to find a good balance of being able to create interesting cards that people want to play, at the same time not just like completely power creeping out these legacy and modern staples. to the point that they're useless and unplayable. It leaves a bad taste in not just the mouth of like speculators, investors that everyone likes to hate, but players that have actually spent a lot of time and effort and money in collecting these staples for their collection. I think that's one of the things with Magic the Gathering that is very fun and enjoyable, is watching your collection grow. And then it's like that scene in Fight Club where it's like, well, this is the last set of dishes that I'm ever gonna have to buy. I've had a lot of customers like, I finally got my play sets now of fetch lands. I don't have to buy those again. And it's kind of that sense of satisfaction. This is a game of progress, both in your collection as well as your skills or whatever. That's what makes collectible card games so interesting. So if they take that aspect away, I often hear this from a lot of the opposite end of the spectrum with the naysayers of like, just print everything. Living card games don't do well for the very fact is that they're not collectible. You know what you get, and that takes away that anticipation. That takes away that thrill of opening something that you want. And it's to the point though that I don't know if Wizards keeps going down that route. I don't know where they're going to be able to drum up the excitement for new sets, and how many more master sets can they actually even do with double masters really cutting into a lot of the equity and stuff. And it's really killed older sets with like if a card, the chase cards out of some of these like Kaladesh and stuff like that get reprinted. Anyway, that is kind of my topic for today. I'd be very interested in your comments in the comments section below of how you feel, what your habits with Magic the Gathering. I have noticed a huge dial back in purchases of your common products, of your commander decks, of your set boosters, of your draft boosters. And I had insane demand for things like double masters, very low demand for New Capenna. New Capenna was probably one of my lowest sold sets in a long time. And again, I don't think it's that bad of a set. I think it had plenty of reasons to be, at least a run-of-the-mill, at least a pretty average on par standard set. And we used to, in 2015, we used to be very excited for those type of sets. We used to, draft them and play them, and you really get your fill of that new set. And it just doesn't seem like Magic is in that place anymore for that sort of, like I said, that appetite. That's the best way to describe this. And we hope you enjoyed this video. This has been the Market Monday from the Rogue Deck Builder. I'll try to be more consistent in pushing these out. I am going to start putting out some more market videos. Like I said, I talk more about this subject over at the Rogue Market. Feel free to go and subscribe to that channel. Appreciate your likes, your comments, all that good jazz. Let's get this channel back up to its glory days. It's been Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.